Hi, Kipsters. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, and today we're going to learn more about timelines. So let's read what Kipsters will be able to do. Kipsters will be able to interpret information in a timeline. Kipsters will be able to, good job. All right, so this is what a timeline looks like, and we've seen this before, especially when we're reading some of our books in class. So a timeline helps us understand events and the order in which they happen. A timeline helps us to understand events and the order in which they happen. There are three things that we will find on the timeline. The first thing is a title, okay, which is usually located on the top. The next thing are dates. Sometimes you will have months, sometimes you'll have days, and then in this timeline, we only see years. And you will also see events. So you will see little boxes of descriptions, or not even, they don't always have to be boxes, but you will see chunks of information for each date that shows the events that happened during that year or on that day or during that month. So go ahead and grab a sheet of paper, and I want you to copy everything down that you see, even the chart on the left, because we're going to fill this in according to this timeline. So go ahead and press pause and go ahead and copy everything down that you see on this paper or this slide. All right. So now that you've copied everything down, we're going to talk about the three things that we see on this timeline. So the title is actually right under the word that says timeline. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the title. The title for our timeline is right under this word that says timeline. It actually says history of popular social media platforms. So that will be the title of this timeline. And then the dates that are located on this timeline is 2002, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2010. So I'm going to put those dates. Then it skips to 2010. Okay, so the events on here it looks like the events are these are telling when each social media platform began or started. So the events tell when each social media platform got started. All right. So just looking at this timeline and trying to understand what type of information it gives us, we can do that by looking at those three things that are on the timeline. So this is a timeline that outlines when different social media companies launch their platform by year. And we know that by looking at the boxes and the years that are on the timeline. So the further left you go, the further in the past you travel. And then the further right you go, the closer it is to now. So we go from one date in the past, and then we go to the date that whatever the event or whatever topic you're covering on the timeline ends. But we do know that if we go towards the left, it's further in the past. And if we go towards the right, it's closer to present day. So let's go ahead and look at this timeline right here. So already I can look at my timeline and look for those three things. The title is Baby Growth Timeline. And then if I look at my dates, it gives me a year, a month, and a day. And then if I take a quick look at my events, which are in the green boxes, it tells me, ooh, I see a name, Timmy. So I'm going to say that this timeline is telling me the specific or the important dates of Timmy's life as a baby, because it says baby growth timeline. So go ahead and write down these questions on your sheet of paper. I'm going to answer the first three. You're going to answer the second three, and then we're going to review them together. So number one says, what is this timeline about based on the title? So based on the title, I can already answer that question in my own words. This, and I'm going to write in complete sentences, so please remember to do that on your exit tickets as well. So this timeline is about how a baby grows up. Based on the title, that's what I can get, just simply on the title. The question asks us about the title, so we need to stick to the title. So I'm going to say this timeline is about how a baby grows up. Or we can also say, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Number two, what is the earliest date on the timeline? So the earliest date, remember, is going to be towards the left. The earliest date, this keyword earliest tells me that I'm looking for the very first date on the timeline. So Timothy was born March 6th, 2001. So I'm going to say the earliest date on the timeline is March 6, 2001. Then the question, I'm not done because there's another question. A lot of you are forgetting to do this on your exit tickets. You have to answer all parts of the question. It says, how do you know? I know this because earliest would mean the first date. So it's the first date on the timeline. Okay, and that's how I know. Third question says, what's the latest date on the timeline? So if the earliest date is the first date, that must mean that the latest date, which is my keyword, is the very last date on the timeline. So I'm going to write that. The latest date on the timeline is May 21st, 2008. May 21st, 2008. And how do I know? I know this because it is the very last date on the timeline. All right, so there are my two answers to my questions. So now I'm going to make this smaller so that you guys then can answer your questions. All right, so now it is your turn. Go ahead and pause the video and answer the next three questions based on the timeline. We'll come back and go over them to see if your question matches, if your answers matches mine. So go ahead and push pause now and answer the questions. All right, so you should have answered all three questions. So now let's go ahead and see if your answers are going to match mine. When did Tiffany first say mama? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the timeline to search for these keywords. So we're looking for Timmy and when he said mama. So let's see. He first grew his tooth there, first time crawling, first time to call mama. Oh, I see the word mama in this event. So now I have to look at the date because my question says when. So that means I have to give a date or a time. So I'm going to look for the date and it says February 24th, 2002. So we're going to say Timmy first said mama on February 24th, 2002. All right. So if you got February 24th, 2002, kiss your brain, throw some glitter, make it rain, because you're doing a good job. Number two, what year did Timmy learn to ride a bike? So I'm looking for the year, only the year. Timmy, these are my keywords, rode a bike. All right, let's see. The year that Timmy rode a bike is, ooh, I don't even need to look for the keywords because guess what? This timeline has a picture on there. And here is a picture of a bike. So I can look at the bike and I want to check the event. So I'm still going to read the words next to the bike to see if that was the first time he rode, or that is when he learned to ride a bike. So let's see. Learn to ride bike. Yep, there it is. So we're going to look for the year. And the year is 2007. Number 3 says, when did Timmy start walking? So we're going to do when Timmy. And we're going to do start walking is also some keywords that we need to look for. So now I'm going to look for the word start walking. Brewers 2 crawled mama up. First time to walk right here where the little blue baby is. So now I'm going to look for the date because the question asks for when, and I know when I have a when question, I need to either give a date or a time. So it says February 18th, 2002. So Timmy started walking February, ooh, that is so spelled wrong, February 18th, 2002. And I'm done. So again, don't forget to look at the question, write them down, even when you're doing your exit tickets, and look for keywords. Look for, because that's going to help you to know what to look for when you're looking at your text or your map or your bars or your graphs. All those things that we've been learning about. All right, so now, yes, you've guessed it. It is time to show me what you learned. So go ahead and complete your exit ticket. Pay attention to the question. Some questions have more than one thing that you need to do. So please, please, please read through the entire question. Remember, you only get one submission, so you want to get it right the first time. Go ahead and use your notes for your exit tickets, and don't forget to, that you can always rewind the video and watch it again. All right, until next time, give yourselves a hug. I miss you and love you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.